when you heard the whole band, you went, oh, that's so much fun. But if you go back and let's say you learn it note for note, you go, that doesn't make any sense at all. you know?
The shocking truth behind Zak Starkey's second firing from The Who is finally out, and Pete Townshend isn't holding back. In a rare, emotional confession, Pete admits mistakes and drops jaw-dropping details about what really happened behind the scenes. Fans won't believe this unexpected twist and heartfelt apology. What led to Zak's sudden exit? Get ready for the insider story that's rocking rock history. Don't miss this explosive reveal. Zak Starkey had been a vital part of The Who for nearly 3 decades, serving as their touring drummer and bringing energy and skill to countless performances. His sudden firing on April 16th shocked both fans and band members alike. It was abrupt and left many wondering what had led to such a drastic decision after so many years of loyal service. The announcement came as a surprise, especially considering Zak's long-standing connection to the band and his reputation as a dependable, talented musician. However, the story didn't end there. Just 3 days after the initial firing, The Who reversed their decision, reinstating Zak to his position. The official explanation pointed to communication problems as the reason for the confusion. It seemed there had been misunderstandings within the band and management, leading to a rushed and poorly handled announcement. Fans were relieved to hear that Zak was back, but questions lingered about what exactly had happened behind the scenes to cause such chaos. Despite the reinstatement, the whole episode exposed cracks in the band's internal communication and decision-making processes. It was clear that emotions and stress were running high, especially with the band preparing for a major farewell tour. These circumstances may have contributed to the abrupt firing and quick reversal. While the public was told it was simply a communication issue, those close to the situation knew there was more to the story. For Zak, this back and forth must have been difficult and confusing. Being dismissed after years of dedication, then asked to return, created a roller coaster of uncertainty about his role and future with the band. The fans, too, felt caught in the middle, unsure of what to believe and worried about the stability of one of rock's most iconic groups. This initial firing and quick reinstatement set the stage for further drama. It revealed underlying tensions and challenges the band was facing internally, as well as the pressure to keep the legacy of The Who alive during their final performances. The event served as a wake-up call, that even legendary bands are vulnerable to turmoil and that handling such situations with care is crucial to maintaining trust and unity within the group. After the whirlwind of being fired and then quickly reinstated, Zak Starkey's journey with The Who took yet another unexpected and painful turn. Just weeks after his return, Zak faced what many would call a harsh and confusing blow. He was fired again. This time, however, the circumstances surrounding his dismissal were even more troubling, as they involved not only his exit, but also a request that he publicly lie about the reasons behind it. Zak had been a trusted and long-standing member of The Who's touring lineup, having played with the band for nearly 30 years. His drumming style and energy were integral to the group's live performances, and many fans viewed him as part of the band's extended family. So, when he was initially let go in mid-April, the news rocked the community. The announcement was sudden and seemingly final, and the band's management quickly faced backlash. Then, just 3 days later, The Who reversed their decision, bringing Zak back on board. The public was told that the firing was a result of miscommunication, and many breathed a sigh of relief. Yet even after this reinstatement, tension lingered beneath the surface. Zak himself, while grateful for the return, probably felt unsure about his place within the band and what lay ahead. Unfortunately, that uneasy situation didn't last long. Barely 2 weeks after coming back, Zak was fired a second time, and this time, the band's management asked him to lie about his departure. The band wanted Zak to issue a statement saying he had voluntarily left the group to pursue other musical opportunities, but Zak refused to comply. In his own words, shared on social media, he expressed his deep disappointment and anger. He made it clear that he did not quit, and that the idea of pretending he did was a lie he couldn't tell.
There are no rules in music. There's just cause and effect. That's really what it is. And I think he understood that more than most people. He would never get held back by any kind of preconception that there was a rule, that stopped you from doing this chord or that note or whatever. He just went with what felt right and what sounded right. And his sense of timing was like probably the best I'd heard in decades. When he came along, I was like, wow, that guy's got a right hand of doom.
This request put Zak in a difficult position, caught between the band's wishes and his own integrity. For an artist who had dedicated decades of his life to The Who, being asked to fabricate a story about his exit was a profound betrayal. Zak's refusal to lie publicly revealed his commitment to honesty, even in the face of professional and personal challenges. He emphasized how much he loved The Who and how he never would have left on his own accord. The music and the band were a core part of his identity, and to pretend otherwise would be a deep personal affront. The reasons behind this second firing were complicated. Pete Townshend later admitted that the process had been mishandled. There were conflicting opinions within the band, hasty decisions made under pressure, and poor communication that worsened an already sensitive situation. Pete explained that he had hoped Zak would take a step back to focus on other musical projects, and that The Who needed a fresh energy for their upcoming farewell tour. He acknowledged that the way the dismissal was handled was far from ideal, and that he understood Zak's frustration. Pete also addressed the request for Zak to lie about his departure, admitting it was intended to protect the band's image and soften the blow for fans. But he conceded that this attempt at damage control was naive and ultimately backfired. The dishonesty made things worse and hurt relationships rather than preserving dignity. From Zak's perspective, the entire episode must have felt like a roller coaster of loyalty, disappointment, and confusion. Being fired once is difficult, but twice in such a short period, coupled with a request to lie about it, is crushing. It not only shook his confidence in the band's management, but also tested his personal and professional boundaries. For the band, this public dispute highlighted cracks in the group's internal dynamics. The Who had long been considered a rock institution, but even they were not immune to the challenges of managing long-term relationships, especially as they prepared for what is widely believed to be their farewell tour. The decision to let Zak go was tied to a desire for a new stage presence and energy, but the manner in which it was executed damaged trust and exposed deeper communication issues. Fans were left bewildered by the turmoil. Many had seen Zak as the heartbeat of The Who's live performances, and the news of his double firing and the request to fabricate a story created waves of concern and sympathy. The transparency Zak showed by openly addressing the truth on social media only deepened fans' respect for him. In the end, the second firing and the request for Zak to lie about it served as a reminder that even legendary bands face human challenges. It underscored the importance of honesty, respect, and communication in any group dynamic, especially one as public and beloved as The Who. Zak Starkey's decision to stand firm in truth, refusing to participate in deception, speaks volumes about his character and dedication to his craft. This chapter in The Who's history will likely remain a difficult one, but it also reveals the complex emotions and realities behind the scenes of a band that has been part of rock history for generations. Zak's resilience in the face of such adversity shows that even amidst chaos, integrity and passion for music can prevail. Pete Townshend, the legendary guitarist and driving force behind The Who, finally broke his silence about the turbulent saga surrounding Zak Starkey's firing from the band. For years, Zak had been a vital part of The Who's live performances, a consistent presence on their farewell tours and beyond. So, when the news of Zak's abrupt dismissal surfaced in April, it sent shockwaves through fans and the music world alike. The initial firing was sudden and confusing, but the quick reinstatement seemed to signal some form of reconciliation. However, that calm was short-lived, as Zak was fired again shortly after, a move that stirred even more controversy. Now, Pete stepped forward to provide clarity, take responsibility, and admit to the mishandling of the situation. In an exclusive interview, Pete Townshend spoke candidly about the series of events that led to Zak's departure. He acknowledged that things didn't go as planned, and that the band, including himself, made serious mistakes. Pete admitted that the decision to part ways with Zak wasn't straightforward. It was complicated by internal disagreements, rushed judgments, and a breakdown in communication on all sides. This honest admission was a significant moment for fans, who had been left puzzled by the conflicting messages and sudden announcements. Pete explained that the idea behind the firing was rooted in the band's desire for fresh energy and dynamics, especially as they prepared for what many expect to be their final tour. After decades of performing with Zak, the band wanted to explore new creative directions and bring in a different stage presence. Pete believed that Zak might also benefit from some space to focus on his own musical projects, which have always been important to him. However, the execution of this plan was far from smooth. One of the biggest points Pete addressed was the way the news was shared publicly. Initially, a statement was made on Instagram that called Zak's departure a poignant moment, an attempt to soften the blow and maintain grace. But Pete later admitted that this was perhaps too little too late. The communication was vague, and the subsequent reversal of the decision just days later made the whole affair confusing and hurtful for everyone involved. Pete said he underestimated how important clear, honest communication was in such a sensitive situation, and how the mixed signals only intensified the damage. Perhaps the most delicate part of Pete's public response was his handling of Zak's claim that he was asked to lie about the nature of his departure. Pete admitted that they had requested Zak to frame the departure as a personal choice to pursue other opportunities in order to keep the public narrative graceful. He acknowledged now that this request was naive and that it ultimately made things worse. Pete understood why Zak was angry. Being asked to tell a story that wasn't true felt disrespectful and damaging to Zak's reputation and his long-standing commitment to the band. Throughout his explanation, Pete expressed a genuine sense of regret. He didn't try to shift blame onto others or deny the band's responsibility. Instead, he was open about the confusion, the rush to make decisions, and the failures in how those decisions were communicated. His humility in admitting fault struck a chord with many fans who respect the honesty in owning up to mistakes, especially in a high-profile and emotionally charged scenario. Pete also took a moment to reflect on what Zak Starkey meant to The Who. He described Zak as more than just a drummer. Zak was family. That strong bond made the fallout even more painful. Despite the ruptures, Pete made it clear that if Zak were to call him tomorrow, he would answer. This statement revealed a hope for reconciliation, even if the past few weeks had been difficult. It was a reminder that beyond the business decisions and public drama, real human relationships and long histories lie beneath the surface. Looking forward, Pete introduced the new drummer, who would join The Who for their upcoming farewell tour. Scott DeVour, a seasoned musician and longtime collaborator with Roger Daltrey. Pete spoke highly of Scott, calling him fantastic and confident in his ability to bring a fresh energy to the band's final shows. He acknowledged that Scott wouldn't replace Socket, nothing replaces Socket, but believed that the shows would still be powerful and meaningful in their own right. Pete's response wasn't just about explaining the past, it was about setting a tone for the future. He understood that change is hard, especially in a band with such a deep legacy, but he expressed optimism that time would heal wounds. His words suggested that, despite the public disagreements and second firing, there remained a foundation of respect and love between Zak and the band. For fans, Pete's interview provided a much-needed glimpse behind the curtain. It offered transparency in a saga that had been shrouded in confusion and conflicting narratives. It reassured supporters that the decisions weren't made lightly and that mistakes had been recognized and regretted. It also humanized the band members, showing that even legends face challenges managing relationships and tough choices. The situation with Zak Starkey serves as a reminder that behind every public announcement and news headline, there are complicated personal dynamics and emotional layers. Pete Townshend's openness in discussing the missteps and his desire to maintain dignity and respect for everyone involved helped shift the conversation from scandal to understanding. In the end, Pete's public response highlighted the difficulty of navigating endings and transitions, especially in a band that has meant so much to so many for decades. It underscored the importance of honesty, communication, and empathy when handling delicate situations. And it left fans with a message of hope, that even in times of turmoil, there is room for grace, forgiveness, and the possibility of mending broken bonds. As The Who moves forward with their farewell tour, Pete's words stand as a testament to the complexity of human relationships in the music industry and the courage it takes to face mistakes head-on. For Zak Starkey, for the band, and for their fans, it was a moment of truth and perhaps a step toward healing. The story of The Who's legendary career is one filled with iconic music, unforgettable performances, and decades of shared history between its members. But as the band approaches what many believe will be their final chapter, the recent turmoil surrounding Zak Starkey's departure has added an unexpected layer of complexity to their legacy. Fans have been watching with concern and curiosity, wondering what the future holds, not only for the band's music and tours, but for the personal relationships that have been tested during this difficult period. The future of The Who, especially in light of the recent controversies, is a story of uncertainty, hope, and the enduring bonds that tie these musicians together. Zak Starkey's role in The Who has been more than just as a touring drummer. He has been a vital part of the band's sound and spirit for nearly 3 decades. His departure shook the fan base and the music community alike because it represented not just a personnel change, but a rupture in the family-like dynamic the band has nurtured over many years. When Zak was first dismissed in April, then reinstated days later, only to be fired again soon after, it left fans confused and saddened. These back-and-forth events signaled deeper challenges within the band's internal dynamics and raised questions about how they would move forward. Despite the tension, Pete Townshend, the band's guitarist and key decision-maker, expressed a deep respect and affection for Zak. He referred to Zak as family, emphasizing that, regardless of the recent difficulties, the bond they shared was not easily broken. This sentiment offers a hopeful foundation for the future. Pete made it clear that if Zak were to reach out, he would answer without hesitation. This statement suggests that reconciliation, while complicated, is still possible. The acknowledgement of past mistakes and the openness to repair relationships speak volumes about the band's commitment to healing old wounds. The upcoming farewell tour marks a significant milestone in The Who's career, one that demands a delicate balance between honoring their legacy and embracing necessary changes. With Zak no longer part of the lineup, the band has introduced Scott DeVour as their new drummer for the tour. Scott is a respected musician with a history of collaboration with Roger Daltrey's solo projects. Pete praised Scott's talent and understanding of the band's vision for their final shows, expressing confidence that while the band won't be the same without Zak, they will still deliver powerful performances that resonate with fans. This transition underscores a broader truth. No one can fully replace Zak Starkey's unique contributions, but the show must go on. The Who's story has always been about resilience and evolution. They have weathered many storms, both personal and professional, over the decades. This moment, though difficult, is another chapter in their ongoing narrative of perseverance. The band's willingness to embrace new energy while honoring the past reflects their understanding of the complex emotions involved in saying goodbye to longtime collaborators and preparing for what may be the final curtain call. Looking beyond the immediate future, the question remains, what does reconciliation between Zak and the band look like? For many fans, the hope is that time will soften wounds and that the respect and friendship that underpin their relationship can be restored. Music history is filled with stories of bands that have gone through breakups, disputes, and even bitter legal battles, only to come back together stronger after healing and reflection. The Who's journey is no different in this regard. Pete's openness about the mishandling of Zak's dismissal is a crucial step toward rebuilding trust. It shows vulnerability and a willingness to admit errors, qualities that are essential for genuine reconciliation. Zak's anger and disappointment are understandable, especially given the way the situation was communicated and the request that he present a false narrative to the public. Recognizing these wrongs and expressing regret can lay the groundwork for conversations that might eventually lead to forgiveness and renewed collaboration. Moreover, the personal history between the band members is too rich and deep to be easily erased. Over decades, they have shared triumphs and tragedies, writing music that has defined generations. Zak's drumming has been a part of that story, and the emotional ties that come with such a long partnership are powerful. While professional disagreements happen in every band, the ties of friendship, shared passion, and mutual respect often transcend the difficulties. Another hopeful sign is the public support from Pete Townshend for Zak. His statement that Zak remains family and his willingness to pick up the phone if Zak calls sends a message that bridges are not burned beyond repair. This kind of openness is encouraging for fans who want to see the band members heal their relationships, not only for their own sake, but also to preserve the band's legacy. The future of The Who also includes the fans, millions of people around the world who have connected with the band's music and performances. Their support and understanding are vital during this period of change. The band's transparency and willingness to share their struggles humanize them and make their journey relatable. Fans have expressed a desire to see reconciliation and have shown loyalty to both the band and Zak. This community of listeners represents a bridge between the past and future of The Who, keeping the flame alive. While the farewell tour will be an emotional and historic event, it may also serve as a time of reflection, an opportunity for reconciliation. Sharing the stage, creating music together, and celebrating their collective legacy might provide the moments needed to begin healing old wounds. Live music has a unique way of bringing people together, and it's possible that the tour could foster conversations and renewed understanding between the band and Zak. Of course, the complexities of personal and professional relationships in bands are never simple. Differences of opinion, hurt feelings, and conflicting interests don't vanish overnight. It takes time, effort, and sincere communication to rebuild trust once it has been broken. Yet, the very fact that the band members acknowledge these challenges openly is a promising sign. It means they are not pretending problems don't exist, but are willing to face them head-on. The legacy of The Who is not just their music. It is also their story, one that includes resilience, reconciliation, and the ability to evolve. The recent challenges with Zak Starkey's firing and the band's future plans are part of that story. How they navigate these challenges will define not only their final performances, but also their place in music history. In the coming months and years, fans will watch closely to see if the rift between Zak and The Who can be healed. There is hope that the foundation of friendship, mutual respect, and shared history will eventually overcome the hurt. Whether or not Zak returns to the band, the desire for peace and unity remains strong. It's a reminder that, at the heart of all creative collaborations, are human connections that endure beyond conflicts. As The Who embarks on this new chapter, the balance between honoring their past and embracing the future will be delicate. The farewell tour will celebrate decades of music and memories, even as it marks the end of an era. For Pete Townshend, Roger Daltrey, and the entire band, this moment is both a conclusion and a chance to show the world how legends handled change with honesty, humility, and hope. Ultimately, the future of The Who and the hope for reconciliation with Zak Starkey is a story about forgiveness, growth, and the power of music to heal. It is about understanding that even the strongest bonds can be tested, but also repaired. The journey is ongoing, and as fans, we can only wait and hope that the band finds peace, unity, and closure in the years ahead.